I think we've got a good critical mass, so we'll get going. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited today that we've got Susan McNichol and Tammy Locke from SC Marketing. So Susan and Tammy have been leading some really exciting work in Illinois with a large-scale marketing campaign for employers on apprenticeships. So they're going to take us through that journey and talk about the approaches and messages that work when you're marketing apprenticeships to employers, both with traditional and digital marketing. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. We'll be recording this. We'll send around the recording a few days afterwards and put it on our YouTube afterwards. And we'll also have some Q&A after the presentation. So if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the sidebar or put your hand up when we get to the Q&A section. That was all I was going to say up front. So without further ado, I'll pass over to you, Susan and Tammy.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Susan McNichol, and I just want to start with the first slide of kind of what we're going to cover. I think some of the big questions out there are, how do you use a small budget to reach decision makers? That's what we really want to look at. That's what we're going to cover in terms of the tactics and the strategy. And we know some might have bigger budgets, some have smaller budgets. So there are ways that you can be effective with that. A lot of it involves reaching the right audience with the right messaging. And that's where the real tight targeting comes into play to reach those business decision makers. You want to be, of course, cost effective. You want engaging tactics, and you want the results to include awareness, engagement, and lead generation. So you always have to really start with that awareness. So they kind of have a sense of who you are, what is the program, and then they get engaged. And then it becomes, hey, I'd like more information, or they'll fill out a form, or they'll ask for an appointment to learn more. So these are sort of the steps that you'll need to really implement. And we'll cover a lot of this in detail with both digital tactics, traditional tactics, how they work together. And we'll actually share with you some of the case studies, the results of what we're doing for the state of Illinois for their apprenticeship program to help them specifically reach employers across Illinois. We can go to the next slide, I think, Tim. So our company, just a quick overview of who we are, Strategic and Creative Marketing. We're a 23-year-old company. We're based in the Chicago area. We focus on integrated marketing. So we are a firm that can fully work with strategy, plan, messaging. What do we need to be saying? Tactics, targeting. Then we learn all that. We establish all that. Then we turn it into the tactics. So that's kind of how we operate. That's kind of what you would want to do as well. I founded the company.
Hey, Susan, I just, not to talk over you, but I do know that there's a few people in the audience who are looking to just reach business owners and not necessarily with an apprenticeship program. So I just wanted to address those people and welcome them as well. And what we cover here today is definitely going to be useful for anyone who needs to reach business owners and business decision makers.
Yeah, because it's B2B. I mean, we're talking B2B here, business to business, right? And so that's really what this is about. And this is what we're using with the Apprenticeship Illinois program. So that is exactly right. That's who we're going to be reaching. That's what we'll talk about. I set up the company about 24 years ago. I have my background all in strategic marketing. Tammy can give you a quick overview of her background, and then we're going to jump right in.
Yeah, just quickly wanted to just explain that I do work with Meta, Facebook Corporate, and LinkedIn Corporate. I do a lot of beta testing for them. I'm on advisory panels for them. So I just want to assure you that what we are sharing with you today is cutting edge. It is what is working right now, and we'll show you ways that you can implement that. And this is just a little bit more about my background. I've been working with these guys for 7 years. I yell at them a lot. They listen occasionally. And the best thing, though, is that they do train us every single month on that crazy word you'll hear, algorithms. And basically, it's just what works for content and graphics right now so that you pay the least amount of money and get the most amount of engagement. few clients. Apprenticeship Illinois is, who we're going to give you the most examples from today. But again, we work everywhere from small businesses to medium-sized businesses and governmental agencies.
And a lot of universities as well, because I know a lot of the apprenticeship programs, there's tie-ins and connections with colleges to help to implement all of those programs. So we've worked kind of the whole state, local education programs across Illinois, and then also with Connecticut. We work nationally on a lot of the projects that we do. And so what we're going to talk about today, we already did the company intro, where we're going to talk a little bit about marketing plan and strategy. What do you need to have in your plan and your strategy to guide your whole program? The video that you may be able to use, the branding that you're going to want to build out, brochures and reports, how important that is to tie in with the branding. Of course, the social and digital media, huge area, very inexpensive to reach a big audience. Harnessing AI. AI, of course, everyone's talking about it. We're already using it. It's in a lot of what we do. Then we're going to talk about data capture programming, really the lead generation. How do you get that information so you can follow up with the right people? And then we'll cover a few more additional tactics in there. One of the things you want to really start with is, for marketing success, we always start with the discovery phase. And you'll want to do that no matter who you're working with, if it's your internal team or whatever you're going to do. You really want to sit down and really identify tightly the right audience you want to reach and the right messaging. So if you're speaking to certain, businesses, it's going to be different than when you talk to other businesses. Say you're reaching out to manufacturers. It's going to be different messaging than reaching the hospitality business. So you're reaching HR people, that's going to be different than reaching ops people. They have different things that are going to be compelling. So that messaging is really critical. What a lot of people will do is say, well, let's just put it out there to everybody. It doesn't work that way. When you're using digital, you're using social, it's got to be highly targeted. You have to speak to those individuals so it's compelling to them. Then they stop the scroll. They click on the link. They click on the ad. So that's a key part here. Your marketing plan, you want to make sure it's inclusive. It's got all different marketing tactics. A lot of times we've worked with companies where they're like, oh, we're doing direct mail or we're just doing some ads on Google. It's not enough because you're only going to reach a little piece of the audience you want to reach. Budget and timeline. We use content calendars that we start with, and that helps us to track what is happening each month. You'll want to do that on your programs. Lay out what do we want to talk about each month. That's great about these programs. And then lay out your budget and then lay out month by month what are the tactics you want to implement. We also, we've done a lot of video. If you guys develop video, definitely use it. What you're going to see, and it doesn't have to be some big video shoot, for thousands of dollars. It can be really short videos with key information that you put together either with a few interviews or you use stock photo, stock video, drop a music bed underneath it. For only a couple $1,000s, you can have video. When we use video, we see 8 times more engagement than still photos. So if there's any chance to build a short little video, people love it. They'll listen, they'll click on it. We've done things like, and you can look at doing overview videos, just an overview of the program, why it's so great, maybe throw in testimonials. Featurettes would have maybe testimonials of some of the apprentices that have gone through it, or some of the employers as well, talking about how great it's been, the experience and the pipeline it's building and the retention that it's helping. You can use animation as well. Like if you want to do like a little more of an explainer video of some details and how it works and how you sign up or how the apprenticeship program will help their company. A lot of times you can build like a quick little animation video. So there's a lot of ways to use video. Whatever way you choose, it's great because it really does make a difference. The whole world is on video now. So that's a great way to go.
Yeah, and I also want to jump into and just say that, backing up what Susan said about you don't have to do a giant on-site shoot or anything. Marketing has gotten a lot more relaxed than it was about 15 years ago, where you'd have to be in a suit and you'd have to sit and, everyone would be stodgy. Now you really can just have another person in your company film you on their phone and then go ahead and post that. You can put it on social, but you can also use those on your website as well. People are very open to that. And when you take that step to talk to somebody directly via a video, it is incredibly impactful. So if you're not using video now, I would say try to make at least one one video a month and get it out there, you'll see a huge difference in reactions from companies.
And branding is a big area. You know, people throw the word around a lot. Oh, we need a new brand, and they're just talking about a logo. A brand is much more than a logo. It's a look, it's a feel, it's a campaign creative that carries across all the elements, and it's essentially the messaging and the feel that people have when they see it, that they recognize who you are, what you stand for. That's a brand. And so when you develop branding, what you want to do is work with a designer who can help you establish a look and feel that works, and then strategically think through, what are we all about? What do we want to say here? How do we want to position this so that your sentences, your key information that you outline, what we do is something called a message map, where you're going to outline, these are our key segments. We want to reach HR executives. We want to reach heads of operations. How do we do that? What do they want to hear about, right? So maybe an HR exec wants to hear certain areas about retention and retaining talent, right? And ops wants to hear about efficiency with hiring apprentices and how it's easy to set it up, and they have a great operational process in place with this new talent. I mean, there's going to be different messages, but with your brand, you want to establish that so that whenever people look at it, they see a standee or a video or anything, they know right away, oh yeah, that's that apprenticeship program from, Illinois or from whatever state or county you're in. So get it so that you have a look and feel and a design. As you can see on a lot of these pieces, once the design was established and the look and feel, we took it across everything that we developed, from print to templates that we gave to everybody in the state. And they now have a template they can edit and change whatever they want to use, but they've got the same look and feel for the Apprenticeship Illinois program. So the standees for brochure, standees for events, conferences, everything. We've done little, squeeze balls and little, promo items for conferences and all of that. Everything has the same look and feel. So that's really important to have a professional identity for your program, whether you're at a college, a local, county, state, it's really important to have that. So start with the branding.
And I would also say that branding really saves your company time, because a lot of the times we start working with companies and this department is running the blog, and then this department is doing the direct mail, and everyone every time they design something is like, oh no, I've got to make a look for this, and then they can spend hours trying to just build what the social ad is going to look like or what the brochure looks like. So when you get everybody together and you say, okay, this is the look that we're going for, make up a few templates, it makes everyone's job easier across the board, because they're like, oh, a social post? Well, I have two templates for that. I just drop in the right picture and the right message, and I'm ready to go. And it really is a time saver across the board. It does take time up front to do it, but then ongoing, you'll see a really nice save of time.
And this is just examples again, how we took that look and feel across everything. The report templates are customizable. We developed brochures that we then printed that went out across Illinois to all the different sort of stakeholders, constituents. So everyone had the same message, the same positioning, and the same look and feel. So that's something you will want to develop. Again, the other important part is the messaging, making sure everybody's on the same page, because we've been at events where they're not, and you have people talking about one aspect and you're like, wait, I thought we're focusing on like the retention and how, this is helping company, and you're talking about different things. So when you do your branding and develop, these are like our key points in the messaging and the brand, that's going to help as well to keep everyone on the same page. This is some examples too, taking it again, the brand across email, trade pubs, postcards, and the same messaging of what we're positioning, say for employers and employees, like you'll see on the bottom right in the blue, what are the key points we're saying? Keep skilled staff, save on training costs, temporarily reduce payroll, minimize unemployment. So these are the key areas we tend to use on a lot of the materials. Once we've gotten it approved through the client, they say, yep, this is what we want to focus on. So we narrowed it down and we consistently say the same information, so people start to know, what is this apprenticeship program?
And this is a really interesting fact that this has kind of been put in place about a year or so ago. And it's the fact that everybody is on social media and websites and surfing around so often that right now, before an employer will want to work with you, they will want to see information about your company in 8 to 10 places. So that's why we encourage you to, make sure your website's the same as your social media is the same as your emails. Um, these are some inexpensive ways up here too that you can do more touch points. Giveaways when you're at your booth, send out an email once a month. Trade show publications are usually fairly affordable. And it's that consistent reach of the employers that will get you an opportunity to talk to them. Because I can guarantee you, if all you have is a website and maybe a social page, you're really making it difficult for yourself, because when you reach out to employers, they will most likely say, I don't know who you are. I'm not familiar with anything you do. I don't have time to go over all of that. But when you soften up the people that you'd like to talk to by sending them an email once a month, maybe mailing them something, then when you reach out, they're like, oh, I know your program. I know this apprenticeship program. I've read a lot about it. Yeah, I'd absolutely like to talk to you. So just keep in mind, if you can come up with 8 different ways that people can get information about you, it will be much easier to bring those employers on board.
And one thing as well as you want to remember, sometimes things are 2 steps. Like say you want to get information and get, people on board at a local community college, and you're talking to the heads of the programs there or the career counseling department, and you're getting information to them. That's great. But then you've got to provide them with information that they can send out to the students, that they can post on the walls with posters, so that if they are not talking about it or really focused on it, then you're reaching your ultimate, say if you want to reach apprentices, not say for the employers, but say to reach new apprentices at like a college level, for instance, you want to make sure you're reaching them also. So you want to do like, think through that second step, because a lot of times we'll talk with companies, different organizations, they'll be like, yeah, we sent it out to say all the career advisors. And it's like, well, but what did you do for the students or the end user? So you have to then sort of do that double step and make sure you're covering both areas, where it's sort of that B2B, and then you take that and do like a B2C, which is business to consumer. So always keep that in mind if you're looking to reach, end users, say, on the consumer side and for apprentices themselves versus the employers. Tammy's going to cover some details now on the
Yeah.
social and digital.
We're going to do a very short master class in social ads
Yeah.
right now. So, what I like to cover first is always, why do you even want to use social or digital ads? If they're done correctly, they're definitely the most cost-effective way to reach your employers and or your students. And there are 2 basic ways that you can run social. One is organically, and the other is paid. Organic is one of those words that gets tossed around. Organic simply means posting on your page. So you go into your Facebook page and you post on that for your business or for your program. The nice thing about that is it's free. You could post as often or as little as you like, and you don't have to pay for those posts. But the thing I do want to let you know of is that Facebook and LinkedIn got a little tricky about 6 years ago. Up until then, everything that you posted on your page was sent out to all of your followers. So there was a huge drive to get more followers on your page. It made sense. The more people you put on there, the more people saw what you posted. But about 6 years ago is when Facebook really got big enough that it decided it was going to start monetizing and really push towards selling ads. So at that point, they switched over, and this still is in effect today, that when you post on your page, Facebook only shows that to about 3% of your followers. So if you're wondering why you're posting every day and you get 1 or 2 likes on something, it's because the people who follow your page are now not seeing what you put up. So if someone doesn't click over to your page, they're not going to see what you've put up. So that's why you really need to add paid ads into that, even if it's just a little bit. It is important though, before I switch away from the free posting, to note that that is still important, because one of the ways that people are going to find out about you is to click over to your Instagram page or your LinkedIn page or your Facebook page. And so they do want to see relevant data when they go over there. They want to see that you are posting, at least once a week. So you do want to still build that out. I will kind of give a dispensation to those of you who think you still need to post every day. You absolutely do not. What I would say for most people that we work with, post once a week, and then if that frees up a lot of time, change that time over to making those videos, and then you can put those up. So once a week, 4 times a month is great. Free up your time to focus on other things in your business. So why would you want to use paid? The best thing is that when you start a paid ad, it runs 24/7. We recommend that you run it for no more than 30 days. What we found is that when we run an ad, after a month, it starts to get stale. And so people clicking on it and engaging with it really goes down. So when you do your ads, run it for 30 days. It's going to give you a great little button on the bottom that people can click to learn more, that you can take them over to your website. And you are able to target these down very narrowly, so that with that ad, the people that you're talking to are going to be the exact people in your audience. And we're going to go over that quite a bit more. Before I do that, I do want to bring up AI. AI is really everywhere at the moment. Although a lot of people are very hesitant to use it, they don't know how to use it. So I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can very easily use it. So the first way is within your paid ads. So if you set up your ads manager on Facebook and you go in, you can type in the content that you'd like to say, and then you can click an AI help button and it will give you variations of your content. So you don't have to sit and write 5 ads. You can put one in and it will generate 4 more versions of you of that same content, talking to those same people. You can also depend on AI to help you with your audiences. Now, I will tell you, Facebook does not like me sharing this, but they have a way that they like people to run ads right now called Advantage Plus. And what you do is you go in, you enter your content, you enter your graphic, and then you say go. You don't have to build an audience. Facebook says it will find you the best audience for those ads. I can tell you we've tested it for the year that it's been out now. I actually was part of the beta test for it as well, and I don't really like it. It spends a lot of money where you don't want to spend it reaching people you don't want to reach. So what I would say is go ahead and build those audiences yourself. Another great way, and a lot of people are using this, they'll pull up Chat GPT and they'll say, write me an article on the top 5 benefits for an employer of an apprenticeship program. And it's going to spit out a beautifully written long article for you. The thing you want to remember though is don't copy paste that, because what that does, if you put that on your website, the web crawlers that decide where you're going to go in pulling you up to the top will see that as plagiarism, because what it's spitting out for you, it's also spitting out for thousands of other people asking the same question. So what we do is just use it to take the bullet points and then write your content under the bullet points. So that can be a big time saver. Another crazy thing that's gotten really scary good in the last 6 months is writing a text of what you want a photo of and having it generate it for you. Right here, this is what I wrote in our Canva program. Create a futuristic female robot that's writing a letter. And there she is. It moves, she blinks, and it's incredibly good. So using it for graphics is a great way to go. So I'm going to give you some examples of what your
Yep.
ads should
And
look
just
like.
one thing, sorry, quick time check. We're going to talk for about
Yes.
20 more minutes, we have about 20 minutes to cover more material. Then we're going to open it up for
Yes.
questions. So we're going to zip through these maybe a little quicker,
Yes.
but definitely
Sorry.
we'll leave time for questions. No, it's okay.
I have so much I want to share. Um, okay, so ads, again, you're going to talk to a highly targeted audience. And if you do what I'm going to tell you next, you're going to get thousands of clicks and you're going to get a lot of great engagement. So you want to make sure you are choosing the appropriate platform. Oh, I see these didn't show up. Well, I will tell you the major platforms, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, X, LinkedIn. All of these have very different people who are on the platform. So do some research, find out who the current audiences are. You might be surprised. A lot of people say, oh, Facebook is just for, people 60 and above. It is not. Facebook, we've got teenagers on there because that's how they communicate with their parents. Tons of young parents are on there because they're sharing photos of the family. And then, of course, you do have the senior crowd that's on there as well. Make sure when you're running your paid ads, you also check so they go out over the audience network. The audience network are 47,000 additional placements that you can get for your ads. So if you go in on Facebook and you say, sure, I also want to reach the audience network, then that AI bot will find your people wherever they are on any of those given platforms. Also, when you run social ads, you want to use the data that's out there. Every single program, every single platform can give you data. So you can go in and check like, hey, I really only wanted to reach people in Illinois. Well, let's look at the regions that I'm reaching. Yep, those are a lot of them. They're in Illinois. In LinkedIn, it will tell you the company names who are clicking on your ad. So this is fantastic. These are the companies that you want to reach out to. They are the most interested in your apprenticeship program. And you can also see which people and which job titles are clicking the most. So you're saying, you know what? We're always trying to talk to the ops manager, but really the director of operations are also really engaged. So let's add those into the people that we are trying to reach. So here's what you should look for. And the first thing I just want to show you is paid ads are astoundingly effective. Two quick things here. This was a brand new client. This is pulled from Google Analytics, but you can see this top dotted line are the amount of people that they were reaching. This bouncing arrow is when we started paid ads. The number of people dropping onto their website went up 250% the day that the ads launched. This is another client that didn't get their approvals in for their ad. So their ads ended on July 29th, and you can see what happened. On July 30th, their users on their website went down to almost none. So that just shows you that paid ads are definitely worth the investment. Quickly again, just what you should be looking for on LinkedIn, the average cost per click is $40. And the engagement rate, the engagement is people clicking and sharing and liking, is usually about 0.19% of the people that see your ads. If you do them well, you can see numbers like this, engagement rates of 0.83. And how about paying $4 a click instead of $40 a click? So implement the things that we're talking today, and you could see these things as well. Facebook is a lot less expensive. I always say LinkedIn, it's the top of the food chain for reaching CXOs, but it's incredibly expensive. You can reach those people on Facebook, then you can get 15% engagement and pay less than $1 for your cost per click. So I'll show you a couple more examples directly from Apprenticeship. So this is one of the ads that we ran a couple months ago. We used a video in it because just like I've been saying, video always does great. We talk to one industry at a time. That is a must-have. Don't try to group things together because when you talk to everyone on social, you end up talking to no one. So you see right here in the content or the title, develop a skilled medical team, get your employer guide here. Learn how you click the more button, and in this way we had them signing up and sending them an employer guide. Giveaways are always great. Check the data, make sure the owners are medical office decision makers, they were, and then again, look at your data and check your averages against the average for that platform. One more great example, Reels, huge, huge, huge. Reels are known, you'll think of a reel as like an Instagram influencer, right? Showing you how to use a bowl or to do a new hairdo. A reel really just means it's a video. So you can put your videos in a reel format and reach those same people. Here's another ad that we did. Again, really strong headline. Build a strong manufacturing workforce. Learn how. We used a video graphic for there as well. Quick example. So if on LinkedIn you were right now paying $40 a click and you implement some of these things, you could pay $5 a click. So what that means, really quick math, if you paid $40 a click, you would get 140 clicks with a budget. Instead, you could get 1,100 clicks. So this just shows there is an exponential increase if you do this well. Okay, this is also new. So as AI has gotten better and databases have gotten better, and quite honestly, AI has learned more about the people that are out there in the world, you now can hire a company to put a tracking pixel on your website, and you can grab the business data and personal data of people who click over, even if they don't fill out a form. Right now, getting people to fill out a form, as you know, if you tried it, incredibly difficult. So this way you can get that business data, you can get the personal data. This allows you to put these people into a nurture campaign. You can start sending them emails. You can even have your salespeople or your contact people reach out to them directly. You can use this to invite them to events. There's just a world of ways. And with these people clicking over to your website, you know they are interested in working with your company and or starting an apprenticeship program. I will tell you that getting personal information is easier right now. Business information is very difficult. You got to look around. We're happy to supply you with some more info on that. We've kind of cracked the code for that, and we can identify now about 30% of the people who land on your website. So that makes your marketing so much easier. I'll swing it over to Susan for our
Okay.
last few
Yep.
minutes here.
Yeah, a few additional things to cover here. You can also look at some of these, traditional tactics like bus boards, billboards, if you want to target certain areas and reach, say employers. I mean, of course, this could work reaching apprentices too, but for reaching employers, consider things like some of the outdoor can really do that. Do a website refresh before we start any campaign. We'll always make
Yes.
sure that the website is up to speed. It says what it needs to say. So when those ads go out and they link back, it comes right back to the section that is going to speak to what you want to get across to them. You don't want to just have, here's the homepage. They come back to a homepage and then they're like, wait a minute, where's the info I was just looking for? You've got to have that website in order, or that landing page really tight, because you're going to start getting thousands of people coming back to it. So make sure that is really, really great copy, great images, information you want to share, form fill available as well. You can still use like newspapers, say for traditional, in certain ways. Trade pubs are great as well. Trade publications, we've been doing a lot of work with that, and trade events, like getting the state of Illinois folks to attend like the SHRM event and speak there. Or there's a small business expo that's coming up. They're going to be there. There's even events like for, contractors that are out there, like actual building contractors. They even went to that to try to connect. Accounting CPA forum event that was out here in Illinois. They went and spoke there. So this is where they're right in front of those employers. And at some events, you get a handful of great, leads. But one of them, they got over 93 leads for people interested. So there's a lot of activity that happens when you can get in front of the right groups, with one of your representatives, for instance.
Yeah, and I definitely want to back up what Susan was saying about your website. You do want to make sure that when they click over, be it from, scanning a QR code on a direct mail piece to a social media ad to an email link, right now, people have an attention span of 3 seconds when they click a link. So, as Susan was saying, if they click over and it clashes with what they were expecting to see, they will not search for the information. They will just click away. So, really want to drive it home that everything that they see has some way to contact you. Make sure your phone number is everywhere in all of your social posts. Make sure a link is back to your website so they could search around and find more information. And again, they are going to surf 8 to 10 places. Again, I just want to drive that in. So make sure you not only audit your website, but you also audit your business social media pages. Because besides your website, that is the number 2 place where people will click to find out information about you. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of talk.
Okay, so that was a lot of information. But again, just kind of recapping it, look at exactly the right audiences that you want to reach. Where do you find them? And I've seen some chat information coming up here too, some questions. But yeah, figuring out where is your audience? What do you need to say to them to be compelling? And then make sure that way you're going to get more of a cost-effective campaign. You're going to have engaging tactics, and then always focus on awareness, then engagement, then lead generation. And those are areas where you've got to kind of build all 3 areas to get them to the point of saying, yeah, I do want to learn more about this program. When can we set up a meeting? So those are kind of the steps involved there. And I think we're almost done. Yeah, this is the audit thing we can do. Tammy will tell you about this.
Yeah, so we're very appreciative that you've made time in your schedule for us today. And as I was just saying, actually, one thing you want to do right now is audit your social pages. So I will help you do that. So we're going to send this out via email to everybody. And if you would like, you could choose either your Facebook business page or your LinkedIn business page. And I will spend 30 minutes with you on a live call. We'll go through what is needed to be changed. I am not going to tell you stuff that we have to come in and do. These are going to be things that I will give you a list. You can go away, do them yourself, and you're going to get an instant boost on social media. When people are searching for information about a company like yours, when you make these changes, you're going to come up closer to the top of searches on that social page, which is almost as important as showing up in a Google search at the top. So we're going to send this out to everybody. Watch for it. It'll come from us. So it'll come from SC Marketing. That's us. And just reply back that you would like that, and I'll schedule a call with you, and we'll look up a bunch of information and give you some great actionable items.
Okay.
So I can't see the chat, Susan. So I
Okay.
will have you
No,
open.
that's good. And yeah, we can start with a couple things that were in the chat, and then if you guys want to, I think they can open their mic, right, Harry, and just ask questions as well. So let's do this. Let's just start with in the chat. There were a couple of questions about oh yeah, apprentice applicants responding to ads and outreach when you're looking for the employers as partners. Tammy, if you want to talk a little bit to how we've
Yep.
done that.
I can tell you that does happen. And initially, when we started working with the state of Illinois, they were like, we don't need applicants. We have 1,000 more applicants than we do the number of employers. And where you narrow that down is really by your targeting. So, make sure if you're buying a list or if you're building an audience on social, or if you're using your own email list, you narrow it as much as possible so that you are talking specifically to employers. But it never hurts to follow up with someone who's looking for a position, because you know what? If they learn about your company and they talk to another company and that doesn't have an apprenticeship program, they may say, hey, did you know that our state runs an apprenticeship program? So I would say go ahead and answer them, but the targeting is going to determine who responds.
And then also Facebook ads for B2B or for apprenticeships versus like say LinkedIn ads and reaching on Facebook, I think some of the titles.
Yeah, so I have been yelling at Facebook for 6 years about adding more B2B targeting, and it has come along. They do now allow you to target by number of employees, so you can narrow in on the companies that you're looking to reach. You can also use company names, so you can put in big company names and then narrow it by the titles that you want to reach. There are many titles now available for you to target via Facebook. And the nice thing is, everybody who's a decision maker in a company is usually on Facebook. And so they can either reach them on Facebook, or again, you could reach those other 47,000 places by adding the audience network. So if they're reading CNN or if they're playing Candy Crush, your ad can still appear in front of them.
And then, yeah, because you got to think about it, right? Say you're looking to get to a ops director from a company. Well, yeah, they might be using LinkedIn, during the day, and they're looking at stuff work-wise. But then they take a break and they're going to look up, what is my brother doing with his kids this weekend? Oh, let me see the photos of that party. They're going to flip over to Facebook. So they're still going to be on Facebook, and you can reach them at a lot lower cost by going through Facebook. And they're still going to see those ads pop up if they're the designated, targeted, title and age and location and region and all of that parameters. It'll still show up for them, but you can do it much more cost effectively. So that's just something to think about in terms of the targeting. What else? What are some strategies to help determine, wait, it moved, sorry. To determine the right employers to reach out to. Tim, if you want to talk about how we
Yeah,
segment it, the small, the
yeah.
mid-size, that kind of thing.
So we started with writing a list with the Illinois folks about who have they been targeting that's been very interested. Where are they already getting their apprenticeships? So we segmented those by industry so that when we created the ads and the collateral, we could use photos and messaging that was talking again right to the industry. For Illinois right now, we are focusing on IT tech, healthcare, and manufacturing. Those are the big three. And then what else you want to do is create a secondary list of people and say, okay, these are, the top 5 people that we know it usually works with. But let's not forget other people. So maybe pick 5 other industries that you think would be really good candidates. And then maybe divide your budget accordingly. So maybe you do 70% of your budget to where you know you're going to be successful, and then 30% of your budget to just trying to make those inroads. And if you run social ads and you do look at that data, you will very quickly see whether or not people are interested. If you're not seeing any clicks or there's really no engagement at all, I would say, first of all, check your content in your graphic, maybe make some changes. And then if that industry isn't replying, then maybe take them off the list and add another one in its place.
And what else? This one is about pre-apprenticeships and needing to get them placed into now a paid internships funded by us or apprenticeship. So reaching those employers. So I think a lot of that is in your messaging as well. If you're basically funding this and they're going to get a free intern, I mean, I think obviously you want to lead with that type of messaging. Like, do you need, you need help, you need talent that you can help train, but can help you through, this summer or whatever, however you want to position it. But this is something that we will help to fund. You bring them to your company for the training, and I would position it that way. So definitely that's what you want to lead with on your messaging. As far as, figuring it out, I mean, looking at where was their internship before. It was IT. It looks like it's IT pre-apprentice. So with that, I would say figure out if you want to reach, smaller companies, mid-size, or even large organizations. And then you're going to want to reach, I would think, IT, the heads of sort of IT teams, but then also some of the HR folks. I bet you're going to get better results reaching IT. Because if there's an IT director, IT manager, like, oh my God, we need help, we are swamped, and they see that and they're like, this would be great, I want to do this, then they can bring it into the HR team and say, hey, can you help me put this together? Because I want to set up this program. So I would say you might want to reach both, and then kind of see which one is getting better traction. Look at your data and see what you're getting in terms of your results. So then you know where to add more of your focus. Let's see, what else do we have here? What other strategies can we use to get an employer to meet with us? We have to send them information on how we can help them with their talent pipeline.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead, Tim.
would say if you are jumping in at the beginning and just asking for lead generation or asking for a meeting, you've jumped in at the wrong place in the pond. You want to jump in and start on the shore. So you want to start with that brand awareness. And this is where emails and social media are very inexpensive. And just getting your name out there, talking about your program and all of the benefits. Then maybe you want to move a little farther and offer them some sort of document, what are the top 5 reasons? how an apprenticeship benefits your company. And after all of that, then you want to go ahead and ask for those appointments. You have to have that nurture phase first. I mean, if you think about how do you buy something, you usually don't have somebody knock on your door and say, hey, I want you to buy this $1,000 vacuum like they used to. You're going to look it up online, you're going to check it out, you're going to look up websites, you're going to have your AI agent, Perplexity or ChatGPT give you instructions. So you've got to give them just a ton of information first. And then maybe instead of going for the one-on-one, do a webinar, so people don't feel as pressured when they're sitting in a webinar with a lot of other people. So maybe add all those steps before you ask for a one-on-one appointment.
So, and there's a question about the market qualified leads, like how many this particular campaign generated. We don't have the data in this deck, but what we do is we're working with like the main Apprenticeship Illinois team, and then they have all of their sort of their leads, sort of their feet on the street representatives that are reaching out across Illinois. And what we're getting back initially too is like that anecdotal, like more people are doing meetings with our team. We're seeing that they're aware of it more. There's more knowledge about, oh yeah, I've heard about that apprenticeship program. I want to learn more. So we're getting that anecdotal, and it's been harder for us to get the exact results through this team in Illinois, also because there are a bunch of committees that are set up. So it's the way they've structured it is a little bit difficult because the committees kind of keep changing. But we do know that they've been really excited about, as their team is out there doing the meetings, trying to get into the employers, that's where they're seeing a really good impact. And also we've seen at those events in person, that's where they've said, wow, this has been great, because you're getting right in front of like all of the, sort of the HR people at SHRM, or you're getting in front of those people who are leaders in the accounting and, CPAs and all of that financial areas at a different finance group. So we're trying to really focus on some of that as well. And you can also look at trade publications to promote, to get that to some of these individuals. So that's the areas we're really working on a lot now as the next step.
And I can just tell you quickly, just for a figure, we also work with Workshare Illinois, which is kind of a partner here in Illinois, and we are reaching the exact same industries, the exact same titles, and we're sending them approximately 30 leads every month that are asking for appointments. So and we could send them more. That's as many as they would like. So it is very effective.
And then the importance of managing your CRM. Wow, I'm just trying to think about this. It's not, I mean, for us, it's not really the CRM we're managing. It's more of the lists that we might buy for email. And then Tammy's targeting is through the digital. She runs our digital team. So with her, I mean, do you want to touch on that, Tammy, as far as the targeting and how you're managing the different like segments, audience segments, that type of thing?
Yeah, maybe if the person who asked this one could like go turn their audio on, and I might be able to give a better answer. I'm not quite sure what the question is about the CRM.
I can say for emails, we do track all the clicks and the open rates, and that's what we really, and then building a funnel is important too. If you have, certain people that are getting an email, and then you see that this group is opening, then you want to get them a secondary email versus this group, maybe they're not opening it, then they get a different email or an initial email again. So building those pipelines are helpful for CRMs, and then always tracking your clicks and your open reports. That's really critical. And then of course, the hard part is always figuring out who really has the great data out there for B2B. And it is tough to find. But there are several that are pretty good in getting that data where you can buy the list, and you get a pretty good delivery rate for some of them. So that's always the tough part. But if you have more questions, you can ask Tammy about that too, for the targeting through digital, if that helps. Okay, I think that's about it for these.
All the questions in there. Yeah, you guys turn your microphones on. Ask what you want to know.
Yeah.
We are here to make your life easier.
Susan, Tammy, there's one more question in the sidebar that might be worth coming back to, which is about the messaging to employers. So do you have any recommendations on the content for employers, especially ones in industries that are less familiar with apprenticeships? What are the really effective effectiveness just to get to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes down to, again, at the beginning, writing that messaging. And what we've seen that really works are the top benefits, which if there are tax benefits, that always goes well. If you talk about not having to, kind of having someone come in that is not knowledgeable, you train them exactly how you want for your business and then bringing them on, reducing the time to hire, having kind of a guaranteed employee pipeline at all times. Those messages have all done very well.
Yeah, and you have to obviously educate them. So for those industries where they're really not familiar with this, you've got to always start with sort of that education part of your campaign, educating about apprenticeships, what they are, how they can work in their industry, and that they're real, they're out there for their industry. And then you're going to do that education portion first. Then you're going to be winding up doing more of the promotion, like we'd like to meet with you if you'd like to learn more, and then more of that sort of marketing, pitch. But you've got to do that education portion because it's true in a lot of the industries. I think people are just starting to understand that they can have apprentices, and like we're doing work like with Aon, which is huge insurance company, and it's really interesting. But they have they're bringing in people for their customer service and account team, their IT team. So that's where they're bringing in the apprentices, and then they've worked really closely with State of Illinois, and they are like in our testimonial videos, and so we're leveraging those that are in these alternate industries now, besides just say construction. And that's where we've really focused to try to get the word out that this is across industries and across ages. I mean, these could be career changers. These can be people who, maybe retired early and they're like, well, I kind of want to return and do something else. So their apprentices can be in a lot of different areas. And so we're trying to get that message across as well.
Anybody
Brilliant.
else want to ask one live?
I think we've got one more in the chat, which is, can you expand a little bit more on how you gather contact information automatically from people visiting the website?
Sure, yes. I'll just tell you how our program is. I've worked, I worked for about a year and a half with a data scientist. And the way that works is we access those largest databases that are out there in the world. And then we use AI, and AI pulls everything together. And it used to be when you could track someone's computer, right? So you could track the IP address. So if I went onto a website, um, all that you could really get the information was is that it's somebody in Tammy's household logged on, and we're not really sure who it is, but we could tell you where they're located. Not super helpful for running email campaigns. Now the AI can look at, basically it'll still look at that IP address, and it'll say, okay, so it's in Tammy's house, and this is the site that they were visiting, which is talking about marketing. So we know that Tammy is the director of marketing, and her husband is this other thing, and her two kids are these other things. So it would probably be Tammy who is on there, and then they lay that out, and then all the data gets filled in from their personal data, business data. You can see where they work, their LinkedIn URL, their work email, which is really important, their work phone number, and then information about the company, what size company, how many employees. And when we pull those, for example, for one of our Illinois clients, Workshare, we sort by number of employees because their program is only available to people who have 2 employees or more. So we can screen those types of people out. But it has come a long way, and it really kind of like lifts the curtain on anxiously awaiting people to fill out that form. So it's just really
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah. Yeah, then you put them in like a nurture campaign with emails, and maybe get more emails out specific to what pages they're landing on or what information you can see that they've gone to those pages on certain areas. Then you can craft your emails to reach back out to them, talking about those key areas that they obviously were most interested in, and then get that nurture campaign going. And then you can have outreach, whether you have like sort of a salesperson or engagement manager or, reps like in each region of the state who do the outreach, then that gives you an opportunity to then follow up with them, because we know they saw the ad, they clicked on the ad, they're interested enough, they came back to the website, then they went to these 4 pages on the website all about apprenticeships, programs. So we know they're interested, but they didn't want to fill out the form. We now can still gather their info. And so then it's just taking that and then adding to the marketing of that information and nurturing it. Okay.
Anybody else? You don't have to be scared. You can turn your microphone on. We're super nice.
Okay.
All right, well,
that
I will say, just kind of in closing, that when we do these presentations, it's a lot of information in a very short amount of time. So we will send you a follow-up email. And even if you don't want the audit, if you're trying to implement something and you just have a couple burning questions that would make your life easier, just respond back. I am happy to guide you. Susan will give you information that you need. So use us as your resource. Up to like 2 weeks after the webinar, we will still be happy to have those conversations with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And thanks,
Susan,
Sherry
Tammy,
and AFA for inviting us to speak.
Yes.
Tammy, thanks so much for taking the time. That was
Thank
a
you.
real masterclass. So many top tips in there that I'm sure people will be taking advantage of. And yeah, as Tammy says, we'll email around afterwards with the slides and recording, and please take advantage of the offer of a free audit. But yeah, thanks so much for sharing your expertise, and thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.